I will be presenting a comparative study between outcomes of two techniques for correction of adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. Delayed presentation and negligence are the commonest hurdles faced by us in the clinic, and time and again multitude of options have been tried to tame these curves. Today, our objectives are twofold: to validate the hypothesis that intraoperative traction along with Pontes affects a better correction than intraoperative traction alone in high magnitude curves of adolescent idiopathic scoliosis, and that Pontes can be safely executed along with intraoperative traction. The study was conducted between January 2013 to December 2020 on 22 patients with AIS with high magnitude curves. Two study groups were formulated, the T group having patients who were treated with intraoperative traction, and the TP group where we coupled the traction with Pontes osteotomy. The traction was applied with weights not exceeding 50% of the body weight, half of which was suspended from bilateral distal femur using skeletal traction, and 1/3 counter traction was given from the skull using Gardner-Well tongs. Preoperative evaluation of all patients included clinical images as well as radiographs. For all our patients, only posterior approach was used with pedicle screw rod system. Intraoperative traction was common for all our patients. Pontes osteotomy was done only for the patients in TP group. Intraoperative neuromonitoring was used throughout surgery for both groups. Derotation, in situ contouring, and selective posterior distraction and compression methods were utilized to achieve correction. Coronal Cobb angle, flexibility index for both bending and traction films, correction indices, apical vertebral rotation, and apical vertebral translation were the few parameters that we studied for all the patients. And for statistical analysis, a p-value of less than 0.05 was considered significant. The mean age group in the T group was 27.4 years and that in the TP group was 18.2 years. Both intraoperative blood loss and the operative time was slightly on the higher side for patients in the TP group as compared to the T group. As evident, the curves were fairly rigid as seen by the flexibility index on both traction as well as bending x-rays. However, in both groups, traction rendered the curve more flexible than the side bending x-rays. A dramatic decrease in the mean Cobb angle was seen post-operatively for patients in the TP group from 87 to 18 degrees as compared to those in the T group. An excellent correction of close to 70% was achieved for patients in the TP group as compared to the T group. Both apical vertebral rotation as well as apical vertebral translation were lower for patients in the TP group as compared to those operated with traction only. Incidences of neuromonitoring alerts were same in both groups, with transient signal loss occurring intra-op in two patients, one each in both groups. First, I would like to show you three cases where we use the traction-only method. This 16-year-old boy with a right thoracolumbar curve with a pre-op Cobb angle close to 89 degrees presented to us in the clinic. Fairly rigid curves as seen on bending and traction x-rays. We achieved an excellent correction of close to 87% with good clinico-radiological outcome. Another girl, 11-year-old female with a left thoracolumbar curve and a pre-op Cobb angle of 106 degrees. Highly rigid curves as seen by the flexibility index. We achieved excellent clinico-radiological outcome and the patient was happy with the correction. However, this particular female was the turning point in our practice. The 16-year-old female with double major curve of pre-op Cobb's angle of 86.8 degrees, highly rigid curves as seen by the flexibility index. We used intraoperative traction for her, and as you can see with the intraoperative pictures, there was an additional creep with the intraoperative traction application. Post-operatively, the radiological outcome appeared satisfactory. Intraoperatively, we were happy with the correction that we had achieved. But when you see her clinically, she still had a persistent right loin crease. And this was what prompted us to think that we should find better solutions to achieve a better correction for our patients. That is when we started to include Pontes along with the intraop traction for high magnitude curves. This 15-year-old female with a right major thoracic curve, preoperative Cobb angle close to 112 degrees, rigid curves as seen by the flexibility index again. We operated her with the traction and Pontes method and achieved an excellent clinical outcome both radiologically as well as clinically. Another female 10-year-old girl with a double major curve, and a preoperative Cobb angle close to 93 degrees. We were happy with the post-operative outcome. The correction index was 87%, near normal looking X-rays, and a very happy patient. Skeletal traction is indeed a time saver. It de-stresses the tissue dissection, de-rotates the spine, thereby simplifying the trajectory for optimal screw placement, as well as facilitates optimal correction in all three axes. Ponti's osteotomy increases the overall spine flexibility and facilitates correction in all three curves. This enables us to achieve the optimal physiological kyphosis. There were 2 episodes of transient signal loss intraoperatively, thus implicating that there was no risk of neurological insult specifically attributed to Ponti's in presence of intraoperative traction. So what happens when we combine the 2 methods? As evident, the clinical outcomes are much better as seen from the mean correction index in our study. There have been multiple studies in literature documenting the benefits of traction and Pontes when used separately. However, ours is the first comparative study assessing the role of intraop traction along with multi-level Pontes to deal with these curves of high magnitude. Ours is also the first study to assess the safety of doing these osteotomies in the presence of intraoperative traction. Lastly, the patients of both cohorts were matched in terms of severity of the curve magnitude as well as the operating surgeon's expertise. We do admit that non-inclusion of a third set of patient in whom only the Ponti osteotomies was performed was not included in the study, and that the cohorts were not randomized. The first 10 patients were operated with traction only, where the subsequent 12 patients were operated with the synergistic method, and that is only due to the fact that authors started to use this technique for high magnitude curves much later in their years of practice. We strongly believe that intraoperative traction and Ponti osteotomies complement one another, and the two can be safely combined without attributable risk of neurological injury. Thank you.